Hello, hello, hello. We are on day 7. CHRISTM. Yeah. It's a kind of magic. It's a kind of magic. Okay. Now what's she on about? Well, performance. This is where it all comes together. All of the previous 6 pillars come together with your performance. And yes, every time you are on stage, either an in-person or a virtual stage, you are performing. What's the difference between somebody you've heard, an okay speaker, and someone you remember? What energy did they bring to what they were saying? Did it make sense? Did it move you? Were they influential? After all, this is the Courageous Influential Speakers group, is it not? So, what do I mean by performance? Consider the energy that you're bringing to your talk, your performance, and is it appropriate for what you're saying? Back to that conscious communication that has been the theme all the way through. So think about it from this perspective. What kind of talk are you delivering? I talk about 4 archetypes when it comes to speaking. And each one of them requires a different style, a different energy that you bring to your performance. Now, you may be somebody who is a great teacher. Think of Simon Sinek as a role model here. He's always got a whiteboard behind him, hasn't he? He's always teaching. And there's that sort of concentrate, here comes the science part to him. It's a focused type of energy, a focused type of performance. Then what about the more sage, the more wise person way of doing things? But here the role model I would use would be Eckhart Tolle. You know, the deep thinker, the one who's pretty quietly spoken and measured in their delivery, but still has you hanging on every word, doesn't he? That's the wise person, the sage. Very different from the teacher. And then we have the storyteller. Think Brené Brown. She exploded on the scene when talking about her research on TED about shame. Now, on the surface, shame? Who wants to hear about that? But oh boy, is she a good storyteller. When you are a storyteller, you bring people in, you give character, you give flavor, you give a different perspective depending on the characters that you're talking about. And this is important when you're telling a story, when there's more than one person involved. For instance, you could have one character looking in this direction and the other character looking in that direction. That's something we used with one of our TEDx speakers 2-3 years ago. He was talking about a phone conversation going on between him and somebody on the other side of the world. He got the message across. Something as simple as that. Storytelling. It could be a difference in the quality of the voice, the pitch of the voice. All of those elements come into storytelling. As I said, think Brené Brown. The 4th one I want to introduce to you is the motivational speaker. These are the high octane, rah, rah, rah people that you think of. Tony Robbins, for instance. After day 1 on one of his events, his throat's really quite scratchy because he's so pushed himself. I would love to do some work with him on his vocal harmony and his vocal working, but hey, that's another matter. The guy is a phenomenal powerhouse when it comes to motivation. So we've got 4 different styles there, 4 different archetypes, and each one of those requires a different energy to bring to your performance. Now, you may employ different ones during your talk. Depends on how long your talk is and what the topic is. Now, I do a combination of the teaching bit and the storytelling. Those are my main two, and I tend to switch in and out of those two with reasonable ease. The sage one, yes, I will veer into that one. I'm not desperately rah-rah when it comes to the motivation, although I am animated, as most people seem to tell me. 4 different archetypes to cogitate on. What is the energy you're bringing to this particular segment of your talk? Switch it up. Be animated at some times and be more sage-like at others when it's appropriate. It's part of the performance. Over the last couple of days, we've been talking about the importance of the vocal element and the visual element of how you deliver as well. And those are desperately important. Remember when we were talking about the voice and the soundtrack? And yesterday with the visuals of how you come across physically. Again, this is all important when it comes to the performance. If you're on stage and you've got the opportunity to use a full stage, there are certain ways that you can prime your audience. Have a look at what I call stage comics. So somebody like, what's his name? Michael McIntyre. They will pace up and down the stage. They'll tell a story and then they'll drop the punchline. And then they'll wander back and they'll tell another story and they'll drop the punchline in the same place. Now, this can go on 2 or 3 times, not necessarily in succession. But when you drop the punchline in the same place on stage all the time, after a while, he can be wandering around and the audience will laugh at that point, whether he said anything funny or not, because they've been primed. Now, we've spoken about sticky words. Have we spoken about sticky words? I think we've spoken about sticky words. Those words that are important to seed in the conversation when we were talking about the purpose and the people that you're talking to. And they are like your primers for getting your call to action sorted. So again, you can see where it's all pulling together in your performance to bring you to the call to action. This is really where the magic happens. You are, after all, an influential speaker, are you not? So what can we pull together? The energy required, the staging, something to be very aware of, is left-right orientation. This is my right hand, and I'm going, as far as you're concerned, forwards in time, am I not? But to me, I'm using my right hand and I'm going right to left, which is not how you're seeing it. We are taught to think left to right, aren't we? Because that's how we read. And therefore time, chronology, everything goes in that direction. Now, whether you are on stage in person or in virtual land, that's still the same progression. To start with, this may completely throw you and do your head in, thinking, well, if I'm going forwards and yet I'm looking at it going backwards, it might do your head in to start with. Get used to it. Because as I've said time and again, this is all from the audience's perspective, and that is what you are focusing on. What makes sense to them. Moving forward, again, if you're illustrating something like a graph that goes up, you're going to go that way, all equally down. But you're going to show the progression of time left to right from the audience's perspective, not yours. And as I said, that is true whether you are on a physical stage or whether you're in Zoom land. So the energy you're bringing, the fact that you've got that magic. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a minute. What were we talking about? Presence the other day? Not that one. The magic that you're bringing to it, the archetypes, the energy you're bringing. Are you using your stage to maximum effect when you're in a physical thing? You can still do that in Zoom land as well. So do you remember we were talking about the quiet, conspiratorial idea when using voice? Because if you lean forward, you've got that sense of, shh, this is important. Equally so on that point, in Zoom land, you are in control of the physical distance, the social distance between you and the other person. You know, that personal space thing. So if you are in a live encounter with somebody and they get a bit in your face, they've invaded your personal space, you can pull back. You can go, you might just lean back, or you may physically take a step back. And that can be done unconsciously because they've invaded your personal space. Something to watch out for in Zoom land, because the audience cannot get away from a very close face. And I can tell you that can feel threatening. If this is the position that you are in all the time when you're on Zoom, it can feel threatening. Back up a bit. Okay. It then means that there's more of a comfort level between you and your audience. Equally so, if you're way back here, the audience may think, you. It's finding that personal space situation. Are you almost filling the frame and still being visible and still feeling as though there's that connection there? We've talked a lot about performance with regard to eye contact. Do you remember I was talking about the looking at the camera? That's important as well. So there's a lot to bringing all this performance thing together. When I have people that I'm working with physically, I literally do walk them through their performance. Depending on if you're doing a TEDx and you're doing a physical TEDx, if the team that you work with insist on you staying within the red circle, if you have a 3-meter diameter, roughly 9-foot diameter red circle to stand on, you haven't got much room for maneuver. Other teams, you can use the entire stage. It just depends on how they set up the cameras, because obviously it's going to be recorded. So with a real live in-person student of mine, I will physically walk them through how they're going to stage their talk. It's a bit of a different matter when it comes to virtual, but again, I'll talk through with my students how they're going to use their gestures that show up. Do you remember we spoke about that yesterday? That there's no point in gesturing down here at waist height, which is where we do when we're physically in the same room as somebody. It's going to feel a bit strange, but they need to be seen. They need to be where the audience can see them, again, from the audience's perspective. I trust that you've got a grasp of a little bit more of the magic involved when you pull everything together. Because this speaking malarkey, it's not just a case of standing up and opening your mouth and wonderful things happen. It's a conscious art and science to speaking. Come back tomorrow for A and see what happens there. For now, bye from me.